Hello, everyone, and welcome to this panel. This is part of the first European online forum within the World Artificial Intelligence Conference 2021. I'm Marco Maritati. I'm co-CEO of Motus.Operandi.com. Modus Operandi is an innovative cloud AI robotics company. That's why the topic of this panel is about smart cloud revolution in Industry 4.0. Cloud technology is a boost for the next industrial revolution that enterprises are already living. So we'd like to discuss what is the state of the art and what is the future of this technology. And to talk about this, I have the honor to introduce 5 distinguished experts, starting alphabetical order from Mr. Ryad Chellali. Mr. Ryad is a professor of AI and robotics at Nanjing University. Mr. Chellali, could you please introduce yourself better than I did? Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much. I will share my screen.
Okay.
So that you know more about me. This is me with the camel in the deep China in Gansu province. Actually, well, I'm an academic, let's say, half academic person. Graduated from the University of Paris. I have the doctorate of science. I'm working in robotics since 30 years now. I'm the first generation of researchers in robotics. I worked in many countries, including obviously France, Italy, China, Japan, Russia, Canada, and Mexico. As I said, I'm half academic because since more than 15 years now, I put a foot in industry, and I'm running also my own companies. I'm also partner in Motus. So exactly my duties, I'm first professor at the university. I'm CTO for a company in Hong Kong called Robotics, dealing with autonomous agents, including mobile robots. I'm a co-founder and a CTO of a company called AI Drones. In Nanjing, we are dealing with not only drones, but drones are the main segment, and we have autonomous drones. And I have also another company dealing with biomedical devices called Kita Technologies. And this is basically all my duties. I have other parallel duties, but it's enough. Thank you.
Thanks to you, Mr. Chellali, and thanks to join this panel. And now I'd like to introduce Mr. Gianluca Giorgi. Gianluca Giorgi is a CEO and founder of ES Automation and Consulting, and he will show his presentation. Thanks.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Can you see now my screen?
Yes, now.
Yeah. Okay. Here is Gianluca Giorgi. I'm the CEO of the ES Automation Consulting. I'm also the CEO of Operandi and the CTO. Operandi is a manufacturing execution system software for managing the production line. And then I'm the CEO also of the LAC Logistic Automation Consulting, where we support for improve the logistic part of the factory. And Ofricare is one of my startup. We handle some patent belong to the ozone generator, and for sterilize the hospital, hotel, home, and dog bed, and belong to the Steriletto brand. I go on to the next step. I'm automation engineer, software automation engineer since 1986. And I started as a talent in 1983 in C language in IBM, where I was moved inside IBM University. Now no more IBM as their own university. At that time they have their own one. After that, I moved to work for GE Fanuc Automation for manage the system integration in the system integration department. And after that, I moved to Digital Electronics, where I got the Digital Electronics University degree as an operating system manager in Iomes, Unix, Ultrix systems. And then I move on in my career, working for several companies. I was the National Instruments in Italy engineer for develop application, special application in LabVIEW and Windows CUI. And then I developed some special plant in automatic warehouse in 1990 using neural nets and some artificial intelligence algorithms for optimize the performance of the plant. I was funded in 2002 because I made the first machine on the world for the sending machine, woodworking sending machine using fuzzy logic. And then after that, I moved to work for automotive business for more than 5 years before coming to China. I work for Ferrari, Fiat, now it's FCA, Magneti Marelli, Lombardini Engines, Fiat Avio in aviation, in the sport car racing, and many others. And then on 2005, I moved to China, and I follow here some project in the China plants for optimize and the production line and connect the data acquisition system from production line to the server. And since 2010, I'm also mentor about the Galaxy Group. Chennai is the Silicon Valley, Shenzhen Silicon Valley, and Fubao Incubators in Shenzhen for several projects in industry automation. In Chennai for some artificial intelligence connected with the machine, the CNC machine, and in Fubao where we have also the developing system for blockchain project from Hong Kong and Great Bay Area. I'm also certified MIT for the blockchain, where we are following now several projects. In my resources, we have resources and services in this page. We have around 13 and academics experts collaborate with me in several projects. According to the topic, we configured the team that work in that project. And we have around 25 junior engineers according to the project full over China, because we know China is too big so for follow in only one office. So we are distributed all over China. We have services like logistic optimization, industrial plant design, special machine design, because we have also one factory for China where we produce special machines, data acquisition project for like a SCADA system. And then we analyze and we manage the data using artificial intelligence algorithms. And we also, now we are, since last year, we started to create and project some blockchain architecture for traceability of the product in several fields. Some of our customers here, where we develop the project, some other, we have done some NDA, so we cannot share for special project, and that's all.
Thanks, Mr. Giorgi.
Welcome, and let me stop the sharing.
And now I'd like to introduce Mr. Gianfranco Lanini. Gianfranco is the head of business development at Leonardo. So please, Gianfranco.
Okay, can you see the screen?
Yes, clearly.
Okay, so just... Okay, so I'm Gianfranco Lanini. I'm an aerospace engineer. I graduated from Napoli Federico II University. After the university, I moved to the Italian Air Force as a junior officer. But after 2 years, I entered in what was then Alenia, that now is Leonardo. Started my activities as a manufacturing engineer. I've spent almost half of my professional life in the United States, working especially in connection with Boeing. I returned to Italy in 2010, spent a couple of years working as program manager on the Boeing 787, returned in the US as head of Boeing programs. I also managed the F-35 contract with Lockheed Martin and the Italian Department of Defense. Then I had the business development in North America. For December 2018, I had business development for Aerostructure division, mainly focused into China. So actually it's 1 year that I'm full-time in China. We're working in establishing a joint venture with a local company to have a facility here working in some aerospace programs. So this is kind of an overview of what I'm doing now. I don't know why it doesn't go to the next. Okay, just to give a brief idea of Leonardo. Leonardo's got 4 main sectors: helicopter, defense electronics and security, aeronautics, which is my area, and space. Mainly, you see, we have 100% ownership, or we have several joint ventures. Our customers are really spread all around the world. In terms of economics of the company, we have about 13.4 billion of revenues in 2020. We have a backlog that it's almost 3 times the revenues. Another point, of course, is that 12% of our revenues are spent in research and development. These make us the number 2 in Europe and the number 4 in the world in terms of percentage for major companies. So we're looking very strongly in research and development. What we have done in the last 2 years, we have created a network of laboratories. They are called Leonardo Lab. They are almost in Italy, but some also in the US, in which we connect the company with the university and some other company, like the one that we have with Aerostructures is with the Federico II, but also with Solvay, which is a Belgian company, but is one of the top 3 producer of composite material. So that is kind of the approach that we were having to follow research and development. Many are aware that our major shareholder is the Italian Ministry of Economics, but also we have institutional investors that make us kind of a public company. We have very strict requirement, of course, due to that. Just give an idea of our global presence. We have almost 50,000 people, 60% are in Italy, but 83% of the revenue come from international market. As you can see, we are quite spread. We have site and industrial plant in 46 countries. So here in China, we have a joint venture for helicopters. We are building this other joint venture for aerostructures. Our radar serves 23 airports in China, so for the electronic division. So, in fact, we consider also UK, US, and Poland as domestic market. So, and of course, now we are looking into China. We have one office in Beijing, which is that quarter. We have another office here in Shanghai, which I'm leading, and we're looking at several areas of development in China. Beside, of course, aerostructure, it's mainly composite structures. There are several areas that are evolving. You can look at electric vehicles, electric bus, delivery drones, fast trains. There are a lot of things that are moving in this country very fast that are good opportunities for business in this moment. So I think that would be kind of all for me.
Thank you, Mr. Lanini, and thanks also to join this panel. Now I'd like to introduce Mr. Corrado Licata. Corrado Licata is CEO of Iomes Group, and he will start to show his presentation.
Yes, Marco.
Okay.
So, can you see?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, good. A few words about me. I'm based in Shanghai for the past 5 years, and I have an experience in Asia for the past 25 years in metals projects. I decided to set up a business with 2 partners. This was about 3 years ago. And we target small and medium companies in the heavy industry to support them in digitalization and optimization processes. So we basically service providers, and the expertise which we cover, we call them domains, are in the metals, basically steel and non-ferrous like aluminum and copper. We also support processes for cement and industrial water treatments. What we like to do is to support our clients who are starting the digitalization directly from their shop floor without, let's say, being aggressive and overhauling completely all their systems. So going basically in the areas where there is the highest potential of benefit from digitalization. So the idea is that we are transposing the expertise of the people in my organization. I am the youngest from this point of view, into artificial intelligence and machine learning model in order to have online prediction systems. At the moment, we are focusing quality, but of course, because we are treating a large amount of data and they are the same data, we can also move into maintenance and predictive maintenance, which at the moment we are not covering specifically with our efforts because these are already made by other companies. So, and also the idea is to make it as friendly as possible. So using cloud wherever is accepted and web interfaces. So there is absolutely no interference with the existing automation of the existing plant. And we like to show, where the effects of the digitalization and the optimization of the processes are going into. So the idea is that all the big push, especially here in China for the mega cities, is going to have products which are definitely coming from circular economy models, and they are efficiently produced, so reducing the rate of rejections and of course improving the performance of the products themselves in an enabling industrial, of course, environment. So many things people don't see, of course, but they are already, let's say, embedded in the places where they live or when they move around in trains or other way of moving. So this completes my introduction.
Thanks, Mr. Licata. And now I'd like to introduce Mr. Eric Liu. Eric Liu is a CTO and founder of Digitwin. Please, Eric, show us your work. Thanks.
Sure. So yeah, my name is Eric Liu. I'm the CTO and founder of Digitwin. Just a little about myself. My background is not as, I would say, impressive as the esteemed colleagues here today. But basically, my background, I'm originally from I was born in China, in Nanjing, and then moved to the United States, have a computer science degree, and then moved to the West Coast to Silicon Valley. So my background primarily focused on human-computer interaction, starting with the video game spaces. And I basically started to understand that, because we're humans, 90% of information actually comes through our vision, as well as the UI and UX elements. So what's unique about that is that I actually worked on a company where it was pre-AWS, pre-cloud days. And we actually had to have completely physical servers to scale, right? Because as we know, the entertainment space for video games, like we all know, we've probably heard of massive multiplayer games that requires tons and tons of cloud and computational power. So basically I worked on that before the cloud days. And actually have witnessed sort of how AWS as well as all the other cloud technologies have sort of grew up. And then I moved back to China in 2015 because prior to that, I was actually at NVIDIA. Because NVIDIA, as we all know these days, it's surprising that NVIDIA is actually worth more than Intel these days because of computer vision and AI and cloud technology. So I wanted to sort of bring back the Silicon Valley technologies as well as the understanding of technologies and how, because there's so much data in China, digital twins is becoming such a very major business. So that's my background. The main thing that we focus on, right, because there's a physical world, as we all know, it's very limited. However, there's so many different digital layers, right? For example, all around us right now in every single room or every single computer, we can't see this data. However, it's all around us, whether it's electricity or water or waste or anything like that. At the same time, there's other types of digital layers that we can actually try to understand from the spatial perspective. So when we talk about human-computer spatial interaction, that's exactly what we do. We enable human beings to understand this data because there's petabytes, if not more, of data just going between machine to machine. But when it comes to human-computer interaction, this is the thing that we need to understand as human beings and how to interact with it. So the digital twin stages and maturity level from our perspective right now is actually, we are getting to the point where a digital twin means sort of a digital recreation, one-on-one representation of the physical space. So whether that means it's an assembly line for manufacturing, for smart manufacturing, or it could be a smart city where potentially you can actually simulate and also see the real-time information of cars, right? Whether it's for mobility or transportation or other digital layers, right? Whether it's energy, right? Because we work very, very, very close with Schneider Electric as well. But of course, when it comes to more mature technologies or the process and stages that we move forward, we look into simulation because of big data, right? Because of machine learning algorithms. Then we can actually understand and predict potentially what would happen with machinery or cities or other things. So the thing about us that we focus on is the full stack element, right? Like I said, from the beautiful experiences that we interact with on our cell phones or large screens or computers, right? All the way down to the data itself. So where does this data come from? Is it from a PLC or MES system of a digital twinned assembly line? Or is it from a smart city? Smart city, there's so many, it's such a large concept, right? Whether it's autonomous cars or whether it's 5G telecommunications, all of this to us is whether it's static data or dynamic data. And we actually enable our customers to actually interact with it, whether, like I mentioned earlier, urban planning, smart cities, smart factories, ports, power plants, etc. So that's really what I focus on these days. And when it comes to Digitwins and digital twins in general, it's really the next generation of digitalization, right? How do we mimic and understand the physical world in a digital environment so that we no longer have to actually go potentially to the physical location? Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Very interesting. And as you all can see, as the audience can see, you are all prestigious experts coming from different fields of industry, of course, different parts of the world. So it can be interesting in just in a few words, have your point of view of the definition of Industry 4.0. So starting from Mr. Chellali. what's in your opinion the definition of Industry 4.0?
You want me to be politically correct or straight? Okay, I have two opinions actually. One is as a researcher, I would say that the 4.0 is well, it's a standard, and as each standard is not optimal. And for some countries around the world, it was the way to impose their solutions. So this is the bad side of the Industry 4.0. On the other hand, I have an example in mind about robotics and ROS system. I don't know if you are familiar with the ROS system. Google developed this standard actually, and it became the, let's say, the richest place of open source dealing with robotics. So this accelerated the robotics applications in crazy way. So you have the bad side of the standardization, but you have the very best side of the standardization. And I will keep in mind 4.0 is a good way actually, because since it started, it increased the interoperability of thousands or millions of devices and systems. And this reaches it allowed more collaborations, and the more we collaborate, the more we produce and the more we are rich. So let's say I'm very satisfied in the philosophy of 4.0 actually. But I keep in mind that at the beginning it was a sort of rail imposed to. This is my researcher mind speaking. So I need freedom actually to think. But for industry, I think definitely it's a good standard.
Okay, thanks. Gianluca, please, in your opinion, is it a label or what is your definition of Industry 4.0?
I also have the two versions. We can say even three, because in China we have also the China Industry 4.0. But we're talking about Industry 4.0 as an industrial revolution, you know. And in political point of view, this industrial revolution renew what was the Industry 3.0. Because when around 2003, 2004, the automation field in Europe and all over the world was only in the hand of the automotive business when they needed to renew the cars, but all the other was more or less dormant. So with the Industry 4.0, including as a technology for transmitting the data, internet, because it's the most different part, the IoT, and so Internet of Things, we're talking about the internet introducing in the Industry 3.0 revolution, because we're still talking about, I use a token ring for transmitting the data, and when I work in IBM, I still chatting with my friends in USA every day. So nothing changed in front of what we done. Only the system changed according to the internet user today. So one side, the industrial revolution, renew the market, create a new business. Germany was quite smart with Siemens to create this one for improve the market of this kind of product, all connected with the Industry 4.0. And they was much more smart because they convinced China is the best way for follow for the industrialization of the China market. So China joined the Industry 4.0 for improve the production in China of this industry. So this is, we can say, the political and business side. In technical point of view, different from 30 years ago, as I said, we have more speed. We have internet, we have a new solution now we have many IC, fast IC in small devices. so we can transmit the data more easy. We don't need to develop any strange driver for communicating to computer each other like we done 30 years ago. Everything more easy, much more plug and play. So this one support the exchange data and the acquire data. Because if today we have the big data, we don't have 30 years ago big data, even we have artificial intelligence algorithms and theory the same. Today we have the big data because of the new devices, because of the internet, because of the 4G, and now we have 5G, allow to create the big data, what not happened 30 years ago. So the Industry 4.0 and all connected together, because the Industry 4.0 is the same point of view engine pushed to become the 5G, because we are going to use the IoT more and more, so the data become more and more, and the band become limits. So increasing the speed, increasing the width of the band for transmitting the data, this topic, the Industry 4.0, give the power for innovate, for create, and give also the new life to the artificial intelligence, because we know that the artificial intelligence passed so many winter period, okay, many cold period. Nobody want to invest in there. In 1990, nobody support me in the algorithms. Nobody will take care about AI. So I think is good for business. Is good for develop new technology, for let the guide, the new student, for let us renew ourselves in the new technology, for start to study again, and I think is everything good for all over the business around this topic.
Thanks, Gianluca. And Giancarlo, with your experience in your field, what Industry 4.0 means?
Okay, so if I look at an industrial point, it's something very positive. Of course, especially the aerospace industry is still very reliable on manual work. It can be strange, but of course you have area of not accessibility. Some things still are very close to like 40 years ago was very similar. So of course, for Industry 4.0, especially on the robotics side, that could be a very important step forward. In terms of data transfer, on that, of course, the aerospace industry has been more prudent on that, because, of course, all aerospace industries work on commercial, but mainly on defense. So they're very, very prudent about getting their data shared and open to attack. So that is kind of course, is the reason why we are more prudent. One other very important thing, and I was thinking what Eric was saying, is the digital twin. We have a very complex production line, and of course, to have a digital twin can strongly reduce our learning curve, our cost at the beginning. So that is very, very positive. But if I have to look broader on the social standpoint, I think these will quite change the scenario, because actually most of the human-made activities, especially at lower level, will be replaced either by cobots, robots, artificial intelligence. And so we run the risk, especially in first world, second world countries, to have a big unemployment if we don't look at the Industry 4.0 as a whole and what shall be done. So the politics shall not drop their head into the sand, but look at what's happening in the industrial world with Industry 4.0 and look what are best solution to how to deal with this progress. The progress, it's happening. It's not going to be stopped. But of course, we need to understand what are what will drive also on the social side and or employment side. So of course we need training, higher skill training. We need to understand if the work hours are still needs to be what they are now. We need to look at the global standpoint, what's happening.
Thanks, Gianfranco. And I think that your point of view, I mean, the working in the defense would be very interesting in the second question I will do later. But now I would like to hear what Corrado thinks about. Are you agree with Gianfranco?
Well, certainly the social, let's say, impact is very important. In order to, let's say, avoid the discussion to reach that point when I am presenting my solutions to a broad audience, because usually you start from the top of the factory, but at a certain point you need to talk with the middle management and even sometimes with the shop floor people. So we always present this Industry 4.0, digitalization, industrial IoT, and you name it, as an augmentation of people's intelligence, and of course as a complement to automation. Actually, we see it from at the moment from this point of view, but of course, let's say the ghost or the spectrum that this is going to look like a real monster for a lot of blue collars, it exists certainly. So it is important to, let's say, use a lot of emotional intelligence when you are presenting these things. But it's definitely, let's say, that the digital twin, let's say, analogy speaks very well in this respect. Of course, we need to consider that a full Industry 4.0, I don't think it exists in many locations, let's say, today. I don't think there are fully digital factories, or probably there are, but I don't know them. There are factories which are partially, let's say, boosted by the power of big data and utilization of machine learning. So it is in progress, and it is going. But it's certainly, I mean, for myself, it's really amazing how you can use the power of the data to find insights in your process, which before you could find really, let's say, many hours later, even days later, utilizing, let's say, a lot of expertise from people. So that's what drove us in the beginning to say we have to use the expertise of the people, in order to put it in a system which is really intelligent, because automation is not intelligent. Automation is stupid. It's following exactly what you're telling the system to do. So the big leap, the big step with the Industry 4.0 is related to the learning part of the systems.
Thanks, interesting, and I agree with this point of view. Eric, please, what is your opinion about it?
Yeah, Industry 4.0 is interesting, right? I completely agree with everyone so far when it comes to sort of the technology stack, right? Because of certain other industries that are sort of culminating together through the use of internet, computers, right, automation. Industry 4.0, right? There's a science behind it called cyber physical systems, right? The science and the digital twin, from my perspective, is the application into different industries. So with the advent of sort of CPS plus AI plus robotics plus telecommunications at 5G, eventually 6G, we are on the precipice of moving towards a transformation, right, to become sort of a fully automated type of digital twin or cyber physical systems. However, I completely agree where there needs to be a moral and ethic sort of committee, right, as we move forward, because as human beings are sort of pushing towards the automation stages, once things become fully automated, for example, if we use an example of autonomous vehicles, right, at level 5 full autonomy, they can drive themselves and they will make decisions on our behalf, right, on human beings' behalf. So that becomes an ethical issue, because if an autonomous car wants to sort of sees through computer vision, would they potentially, run into a family or run you off a cliff? That becomes such a interesting topic when it comes to artificial intelligence and cloud computing. So yeah, again, it's always about sort of moving towards the how sort of the human progress in the future. However, as we're keep pushing along ourselves as well as different industries into full autonomy, we should always stop, smell the roses, and think about exactly what we're doing. Are we replacing a lot of jobs? Which absolutely it will happen, right? Absolutely. But at the same time, a lot of other thought leaders in the AI industries are saying that, hey, they will get dispersed, but then they will learn new skills potentially, right? So maybe they will be, robotics, maintenance people or something else. So yeah, I mean, Industry 4.0 again is a transformation. We're slowly but surely getting pushed towards that direction, starting with manufacturing, and especially, there's really 2 countries in the world that are really, shovels to the ground doing smart cities from scratch. One is obviously China. The other is Saudi Arabia. No other cities, no other countries in the world are basically saying, I'm going to create a brand new city from land, right? Basically nothing there, and have, for example, from Saudi Arabia, the NEOM project, $500 billion US, a smart city, right? So it's really interesting how we are starting to move towards that direction in these multiple industries. And again, we should always sort of stop and smell the roses.
Yeah, of course, it's a big work in progress. And thanks, great. And now I want to ask you a pretty delicate question. What about security? Of course, applied in your field. Do you think the cloud is secure for the factories? Starting from Mr. Chellali, please. Turn on your mic, please.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, the security is exactly at the same level of ethics in terms of importance. It's a topic to have to be considered as a top priority. It's impossible to have a secure system 100%. This is impossible. What we can have is some percentage of security, and depending on the area where we are, our friend was talking about aeronautics. The tolerance is 0. So could we have secure systems? For now, I'm not sure, because the theory says that there is no secure system. How to increase the security? Well, there are new technologies like the optics, or some new algorithms to increase the security. But for me, as a theoretical guy, I can guarantee there's no security for 100%. Asymptotically, you can tend to 100%, but the price to pay is high. So yeah, this is the story now. The more you pay, the more you have security, because in any case you cannot have it.
Yeah, clear.
This is more true with the GPUs now are very popular. So you have a very powerful computing capabilities for nothing. So to crack any security system is not that expensive as it was in the past. So you don't need to be a state actually to have a powerful or to have the computational power to actually to crack systems. This is what I can say actually. I just want to add a remark about the ethics. as for any technology, we have always duality. Any technology can be used for the good or for the bad. It's up to us to make the choice. So this is true for 4.0, for any other, for AI or for any other technology. So it's up to us to choose the right use of our inventions, actually.
Even for the law, there is a dual use.
I agree. I always say also a knife. You can use a knife for a good use or a bad use. Just a few words, Gianluca, please. Which is your idea? There's a balance.
More or less, I agree together with Ryad. But I think the security, you know, in MIT we study about security, cryptography, blockchain, AI connected together, and we talk often about this topic about the security of the data. But at the end, as he said, we have no real security. And if we talk with Gianfranco later, we know more about security in his field. So I think the security level become from what there is on the plate. If the data, what I'm going to catch is quite important data, the security become low. If the data is belong to one production line for produce a refrigerator, for produce something like that, today technology is enough for save the data, because who is interested to store the data or for disrupt the data, noisy the data, they needed to invest so much money, and then at the end the result is not enough to pay you back what you're going to invest for do that. So some kind of blockchain or some kind of cryptography in some kind of field is already quite safety according to what you're going to manage. But if we talk about army or aeronautics or relation in the boat belong to country like happen in USA, Russia, something like that, there the budget, we don't see how much is the budget for crack those data. So there is no security. So why, for example, the last meeting with the Putin, they go to talk face to face for don't try to crack, because the technology cannot arrive to so much high safety, we can say.
Thanks, Gianluca. Gianfranco, I think
Yes,
it's a lot to you, this question.
Yes, yes. So, of course, I think both Ryad and Gianluca said both catch the point. So, on one side, you have to put in a balance on how much you want to spend and what is the risk that or what is the benefit to go to the cloud. Is going to be the benefit more on how much you're going to spend to protect your cloud. So, of course, there is always a balance that you need to make. So, I think, of course, based on that, the whole aerospace sector, especially the one more focused on military product, has been very, very prudent on that, because some things you just cannot do it, to be honest. You don't want the risk of national security is in some areas just too much for every country, and so it's a no-go. More on the commercial side of aerospace, it's more of a balance, of course. Internally, we are not still going. We are working with another company to create some, we have a cybersecurity division. So we are, one of our main area of business is that one. We're working also in another company to create a protected cloud, but it still takes time, and there's still going to be some areas in which you don't want to go. So of course you go case by case, but it's still quite a long walk, I think.
Thanks, Gianfranco. Corrado, your field, maybe cloud is more reliable, of course, instead of the defense in the case of Gianfranco. What's your opinion?
Well, we are definitely not at a national security, let's say, environment. What we see is that in general, the cloud is definitely more secure than other systems, because wherever there is a human involved, there is always, let's say, the real backdoor is that one, is not the cloud itself. So that's why we always push and try to convince with a lot of energy our clients to use the cloud solutions, because they are very robust. And even though in China, when we are dealing with data going abroad, there could be some let's say hiccups, but we know there are solutions to solve this. Our clients, most of the times, they are insisting to have the data on premise. They talk about security of data, but we know that sometimes it's because we are dealing with water treatment companies, so they don't want that their data stay in the cloud. And the Environmental Protection Agency can access those data and see what they are really doing. So it's more on let's say some compliance issue that let's say a national security level. So that's our perspective on the topic.
Clear, thanks. Eric, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, the security when it comes to cloud-based, I mean, nothing's ever secure, right? I mean, even from the advent of the internet back in the day, right? Nothing is ever secure. I think when it comes to, especially these days with IoT, right? Everything's becoming connected to the internet, and it's becoming a major problem, right? Where you have sort of botnet hackers basically taking advantage of every single one of these IoT devices to sort of use for attacks, right? I mean, this distributed network of computer devices will keep providing more ammunition, right, for hackers. So I think at the same time, like I think Professor Ryad also mentioned this duality, right? Is it about convenience, or is it about other things, right? So we use the cloud these days because it's more convenient for us to put our personal data, right? Even though whether it's Google or Alibaba, it doesn't matter, right? Somebody's going to have access to that, no matter how encrypted it is. However, it saves us as individuals and humans time, because I can access, a PowerPoint presentation on my phone as well as my computer, or maybe eventually TV, right? So it's really about convenience. But when it comes to, I see it from sort of the humanistic perspective, right? The individual consumer perspective. But at the same time, when we look at a business or government perspective, right, it becomes a lot more complex. So when we work on smart manufacturing, right, for a machinery, right, what about the CAD models that we receive, right? Do we put it on the cloud? Do we put it on our private cloud? Can we actually convince our customers, right, that it's okay to put it on this secure cloud, right? So I guess it's really an order of magnitude of how they feel comfortable with this type of secure data, right? Of course, when you upgrade a level to Department of Defense, et cetera, then you look at companies like Palantir, right? They've successfully created knowledge-based cloud network of data sharing between FBI, CIA, et cetera, to capture bin Laden. So there's pros and cons for everything. And I think that security, when it comes to the individual, is going to be sort of a long transformative path, right? How much we give up or not, right? It's really up to the individual.
Thanks, Eric. We just have the last 10 minutes, but I'd like to ask just the third question, because I think it's strictly related to the second one. In your opinion, dealing with the customers, cloud technology is accepted by manufacturers, especially the old style manufacturers. Mr. Chellali, in your opinion, you have experience in this?
Well, I worked with the, let's say, old style company in Shandong, textile company, And well, they were changing completely their production style, and I suggested the cloud solution. And the CEO is a very old guy, and I tried to explain to him how it works, and for him it was impossible. His data are his data. So, but talking with the general manager, younger than the CEO, he was eager to move to, and he asked me to convince the big boss to to move to. So I think it's a matter of generations. The new generation is more keen to put the not only the data but everything on the cloud, knowing that there are issues of security. So everyone knows that it's impossible to secure, but the balance is more pushing towards putting the knowledge on on the cloud. So I think it's just a matter of generations. The new generation is more easy to move on the cloud, and the trend is this, and we'll see in the near future. Actually,
I agree. I agree. Thanks, Gianluca. Your opinion?
Yeah, quite fast. My point of view is too early for the old generation entrepreneur to move to the cloud, because they know they are contacted from the mobile phone, even they didn't share the mobile phone, they got the calls, they got advertising, they don't know why someone got the data, so they don't trust the cloud. They think if my data go inside one cloud, one service company, sure that service company sell my data to other, to my competitor who pay more, especially in China. So in China, they don't trust so much. In my experience, give some data to the cloud, no problem. But other data to the cloud, the personal counting, this kind of contact cost, never. They can spend a lot of money for their own server, but they will not give any data to anyone. Even to us, for access the data is quite difficult sometimes. So this is my opinion here in China.
So a sort of a mixed solution. Gianfranco, in your experience with your clients in your field?
Well, of course, most of all, or I think it's a little bit early as anticipated, but I think it's more of also a generational things. So, and it's how you grow up. So I make the comparison what's happening in China. In China, if you look, nobody's using emails. Everybody's changing data with WeChat. I think the reason behind that, because we grew up in the 90s, early 2000, with the email, that was our method of communication, and so we're used to that. They didn't have the computer back there. They just have now the smartphone WeChat, and so they use that. So of course, it's a matter of younger generation are more used to that. So I think it's going to be more on the age of the management to see when the company are ready to do that. It's kind of a generational gap that we have now, I think.
Yes, I agree. I think we also see with our sons that it's a different mindset completely. Corrado, in your opinion?
Well, we saw that, let's say, there are two segments. The government companies, they don't like cloud for the reasons the other experts already anticipated. But we notice, I mean, our experience is that with our private clients, it's definitely easier to, let's say, sell the concept of, I mean, sell the cloud solution. And that's the reason why we started with the cloud solution, but now we are also offering on-premise solutions, and we found also, let's say, a way to be, let's say, quick, because we need to train our models continuously, quickly, and of course on-premise this becomes very slow. So, but I'm sure that the time will come when also the let's say the old so-called old generation and government companies will accept the cloud. What I usually tell them, I said, but what is your issue? What is your problem? You are using your phone, you have your credit card there, all your messages are going through cloud. So, in the end, you're already exposed. So they look at me like, yes, you're right, but I still prefer to stay, to keep my data within my walls, and they shall not go out. So we have to accept this for the time being. So that's why we have also developed our so-called hybrid solutions.
Thanks, Corrado. Eric, I think in your field, manufacturers have to accept cloud technologies.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think everybody's starting to talk about hybrid, right? The hybrid cloud is definitely a thing. For what does that mean, right? Does that mean that mean basically on-prem plus cloud stuff, right? So for customers who, I guess, you want to sort of transition them step by step towards full, online cloud capabilities by enabling them better, user experiences. That's something where it's a stopgap, right? A step-by-step approach. And I think that, the thing that comes to my mind is that you look at the previous, U.S. presidents, right? Previously, they were only allowed to use potentially not even smartphone, but then the last couple have finally, right, used smartphones, whether it's Apple or Android or something more secure, but they are smart, right? Everything, you can access information at the palm of your hand. So I think no matter what, when it comes to our customers, right, for digital twinning, governments, the vast majority, we have to do on-prem, right? Because all of their data is very, very secure, or needs to be secure, right? At the same time, for manufacturing, smart factories, we are seeing companies be more open to be on sort of a public cloud, right? So again, really depends. As long as there's a step-by-step approach, I think it's easy to ease them into things, because we can offer other solutions or products that empower them across all of their devices if it's actually on a public cloud, versus only it's on-prem. Then you gotta connect with their own company VPN to access that data, which is, to be honest, a pain, right? So I think because sort of the management age, as they're starting to understand that, hey, their kids and their grandkids and children have access to information and they don't seem very affected by it, I think it's going to be they're going to be more open to these changes and transformations of digitalization.
Thanks, Eric. And I want to thank you all. It was a very interesting and stimulating panel. And we want to thank everyone from behalf of the European Online Forum. And that's it. Thanks to all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you. Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Bye.